Hello, it's 2 days before independence. This action-packed week is moving quickly. Here are your Thursday headlines. Prime Minister embraces inclusivity in reviewing of marijuana possession law. The coalition government reasserts commitment to attaining the good life for all Guyanese. President Granger and the First Lady are back home after successfully completing their routine annual medical checks. Young entrepreneurs pitch for startup funding. Minister Alikok meets newly elected Barometer Tushau, and hundreds of youths set for colorful independence celebration extravaganza at Durban Park. These stories and much more starting right now. Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu embraces an inclusive approach to the much-talked-about amendment of the laws relating to sentencing for possession of small quantities of marijuana. Here is Gabriela Patra.
This declaration comes as calls mount for legislators to modernize the laws to remove mandatory custodial sentences for small quantities of marijuana.
The magistrate has no discretion under the law, but we can work towards reforming the law. It's not to decriminalize marijuana, but to reform certain sections that would give a magistrate a discretion whether to send someone to jail or to put the person into community service or to go into a rehab center.
Prime Minister Nagamutu floated that the reform process must be inclusive and considerate of all sectors of society.
I would hope that an issue like this would have to be subjected to broad consultation, include the opposition, because you don't want to go and have a divided position on the issue as to whether you want to reform our existing psychotropical abuse, substance abuse act.
Additionally, he said further violations of Guyana's laws must be dealt with in a structured manner that will provide those persons before the court for non-violence offenses an opportunity to make a better life rather than be incarcerated. According to the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Act, possession of more than 5 grams of marijuana carries a fine and a jail time of no less than 3 years. Gabriela Patram for InfoHub.
Coalition administration recommits to greater effort in attaining the good life for all. Stacey Carmichael tells us more in this week's Cabinet Roundup.
As Guyana gets ready to celebrate its 52nd independence anniversary, the coalition government has recommitted to placing greater effort on policies and programs to enable the nation's rapid and sustainable development. Minister of State Joseph Harmon at today's post-cabinet press conference.
It also committed itself to living in unity and to assiduously work both individually and collectively for the development of Guyana towards the achievement of the good life for all ourselves.
Cabinet has approved the National Revised Forest Policy Statement and Plan 2018, which were submitted by Natural Resources Minister Raphael Trotman. According to Minister Harmon, they were reviewed to take into consideration Guyana's commitment to the Green State Development Strategy and to combating climate change.
The Revised Forest Policy Statement and National Forest Plan also reflects Guyana's movement away from valuing our forest simply for its wood, to emphasizing that it is a cornerstone of our national patrimony, providing a host of products.
The Guyana Forestry Commission, with the approval of Cabinet, will conduct a public sensitization on the policy and plan. The annual report of the Guyana Wildlife Conservation and Management Commission was also submitted to Cabinet and will be laid in the National Assembly. The Cabinet has agreed for Guyana to be a signatory to bring into force the ratified CARICOM Arrest Warrant Treaty, signed by member states at the 38th regular meeting of heads of states in July 2017 in Grenada. And finally, in post-cabinet roundup, Minister of Finance Winston Jordan will be attending the 9th International Infrastructure Investment and Construction Forum in China from June 7 to 8.
While in China, the Honourable Minister of Finance will also, at the invitation of the government, visit mainland China from June 9th to the 15th to hold discussions with a number of officials in the financial, manufacturing, and construction sector, including China Development Bank, the China Exim Bank, China LAC Foundation, Huawei Exhibition Hall, Industrial Zone, and Manufacturing Center.
For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
Let's tell you now that President David Granger and First Lady Sandra Granger returned to Guyana today after completing their annual medical checkups in neighboring Trinidad, where they have been going for many years. The Ministry of the Presidency reports that they have both been given a clean bill of health. Mrs. Granger first joined the scheme 28 years ago as a CARICOM Secretariat staff member, and the President, as her spouse, joined the health scheme. Join us after this quick break for some important messages. Welcome back. We now tell you that young entrepreneurs are pitching for startup funding at the Youth Business Summit. Isaiah Braffett witnessed the keen contest and filed this report.
17-year-old Diane Pompey from Mahaica Region 5 is one of the hopeful entrepreneurs. After pitching her idea to the judges, she is confident that she will make the cut with her country fresh farm, poultry rearing, and cash crops venture.
I'm going to start up with 300 birds, and the product will be eggs and layout birds. And further, I'll be engaged in organic cash farming. I think I'll be successful because they've been encouraging me to go on YouTube and look up this solar thing that a girl put up on YouTube. So they've been encouraging me what to do.
Tracy Ann Massey is looking to expand her business, handcrafting with Tracy Ann. Massey currently designs invitation, birthday, and anniversary cards on a small scale. Requiring close to $2 million to expand, she is sure of securing the grant.
They love my presentation. I think I'm successful. I think I'm going to be successful. My business is different from all the other presenters here today. So I think I have a good the advantage.
However, of the 31, only 10 will be selected. They are being judged based on presentation, innovation, potential for growth, and financial viability. The Youth Business Summit, part of National Youth Week 2018, concludes this evening at the Pegasus Hotel. Isaiah Braffett for InfoHub.
Tushao and Village Council elections continue all across Guyana's hinterland regions. Minister Sidney Alicock met the newly elected barometer executives and urged continued development. Seneca Thorne, who tracks Indigenous people's affairs, has more.
Waste no time to wonder. Just seek directions. We have a community development officer here who is placed here to support.
The minister met with the Tushao and councillors on Wednesday to discuss a way forward for the Region 1 community's development. Minister Alicock advised the council to include transformational projects in their village improvement plan to complement the upgrades already implemented in the community, which was neglected for over 2 decades.
In the areas of health, education, security, infrastructure is a need. So we need, in your village improvement plan, we would like to see what you could be able to put into this plan so that you have something to work with, a plan to work with.
Tushao Charmin Rambaju explained that her ultimate goal is to eradicate the stigma associated with barometer. She is crafting a 3-year plan for the approximately 4,000 residents.
Very soon I would be sending my community action plan to you. So I'm working on it right now, but I haven't finished yet, so that I would have my 3-year action plan. So the ones that I know is urgent, I work on it, and as time goes by, I do it during my 3 years.
The Tushao added that the new council is currently acquainting themselves with the village assets and meeting with business persons in the area. Seneca Thorne, InfoHub.
This morning, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu outlined the importance of Guyana's independence at a Rights of the Child Commission workshop. Here's this Tiffany Rogers report.
The Prime Minister noted there can be no value attached to being Guyanese.
Our rights flow from our identity. Our duties, our responsibilities come from who we are. And therefore, the benefits of being a citizen of an independent country must also be recognized as the benefits that flow from being who we are.
The one-day workshop included selected secondary school students from Georgetown and Regions 3 and 5. Minister within the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Valerie Garrido-Low, encouraged greater appreciation among young people of Guyana's diversity. The Rights of the Child Commission chairperson Narima Khan explains the workshop seeks to contemplate the significance of independence and Republican status. Reporting for InfoHub, Tiffany Rogers.
So being independent, you must remember, young people, there can be no value attached to the identity that we have assumed as Guyanese.
Pride, patriotism, and Guyana's young people formed the centerpiece of this year's independence celebrations. Alexis Rodney has more.
Following years of mainly adult participation, President David Granger has called for the involvement of as many young people as possible in this year's festivities. At a press conference held yesterday, Minister of Social Cohesion George Norton said the ceremony will feature a grand display which will chronicle the country's development over the past 52 years, while at the same time highlighting Guyana as an emerging great state.
Over 2,000 children drawn from a wide cross-section from primary and secondary schools will participate in the cultural display. In addition, there will be a parade constituted of the military and 1,500 youths from various organizations, inclusive of the school's cadet corps, scouts, pathfinders, and secondary school students.
Artistic Director Lloyd Garrett said over 2,000 children from all across Guyana will participate in the cultural celebration, with thousands more in the actual parade.
Children who have been rehearsing for the past 4 weeks, they are excited, they're thrilled, they're looking forward to putting on this display. I'm only praying for good weather. And I want to say that this year's display will be a start, but it's not where we want to go. And that's why I'm so happy to hear the sponsors talk about, continued partnership with us, because we know that we can produce much more if we work hand in hand. And so it's for all of us as people, whether private sector, whether government, entrepreneurs, artists, everybody, for us to come together and let's articulate this Guyanese culture. We have a beautiful country.
The flag-raising ceremony will commence at 2 p.m. at the Durban Park tomorrow. This will be followed by an independence flag concert at Starbrook Market Square and culminate with a grand fireworks display at 10 p.m. to usher in independence. These events are all free and Guyanese are invited to attend. Alexis Rodney for InfoHub.
Guyana continues to hail Commonwealth Games gold medalist Troy Doris on his maiden trip home. Londoners got the chance to celebrate the nation's international champion. Stefan Gabriel reports.
London's young athletes Chantopa Bright and Daniel Williams were elated to welcome Doris into their hometown.
Firstly, permit me to say congratulations and welcome to Linden, Mr. Doris. I'm delighted. I guess we are all delighted to finally meet you. You have been a beacon of hope for this great nation and inspiration to all the athletes of this country.
It was nice to see the ministers in Linden and the appreciation of Mr. Troy Doris here. And he's done a really good job putting us on the world stage, and we really appreciate him. And I'm going to try to follow up and hopefully better.
Linden's Deputy Mayor Wainwright Bethune noted that Doris's achievement is an inspiration to all Guyanese.
This is a significant achievement for Guyana, having won the Commonwealth gold. Congratulations to you, sir. Your performance, I think, would be an inspiration for a lot of Guyanese, more so Lindeners.
Doris told the Lindeners that he was delighted to be in the mining town, where a number of the nation's high-performing athletes originate. He also took the opportunity to thank them for their support and told them his victory is for all of Guyana.
It's very safe to say that, this is a personal victory, but this is a victory for all of us, winning a gold medal. This is just not for me, right? This is for all of Guyana. This is for everyone.
Also present to celebrate Doris were Ministers Simona Brooms and Valerie Adams-Yearwood, Director of Sports Christopher Jones, Mayor Winika Arundel, among other officials and residents. For InfoHub, Stefan Gabriel.
Mrs. Sita Nagamutu has been hosting a series of secondary school tours at the official residence of the Prime Minister. Gabriela joins us again.
As one of the heritage buildings, Mistress Nagamutu said the PM's residence, which is over 150 years old, holds tremendous historical significance. She saw it fit that students were given the opportunity to visit the stately home and learn about its history. Mistress Nagamutu, who is a former head teacher, took the opportunity to encourage the students, most of whom are 3rd, 4th, and 5th form students, to study hard and work towards achieving their goals. Educational pamphlets and other souvenirs were handed out to the students and teachers of the schools. Posters showcasing Guyana's independence history and a short video on the residents were presented. Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu also took time to spend a few minutes interacting with the students of the various schools during their tour. Schools that would have visited the exhibition thus far include Kingston Secondary, North Rumvelt Secondary, Diamond Secondary, Charlestown Secondary, and various students from schools from Region 6. Gabriela Patram for InfoHub.
The Diamond pedestrian overpass will be temporarily closed tomorrow to allow for the installation of the elevators. Muslims today completed the 8th day of the holy month of Ramadan. Once again, we wish them well during this month-long fast when they abstain from food and liquids from sunrise to sunset. Goodbye.